Senator Diamond, the commissioner may be a few minutes late, so Nina may need to just kick it off for us.
Yep, that's what
We had planned for this just in case.
Yep, that's fine.
That means we'll get the accurate information.
Wow.
Where did it all go? Can you guys hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Yep.
I can hear you.
Yeah, I can't see any of you,
Oh, well, there you go.
but the live streaming's going on.
A few glitches that we always expect. No big deal.
Yeah, this is not cool.
That's for you, Senator Farron.
I hear the phone ringing, but
Okay, there
nobody's.
you are.
Okay, we're here.
We're live.
Good, good. Well, welcome everybody to a Committee on Transportation. We're having our briefing today from Department of Transportation, actually, and Department of Public Safety. And before we go too much further and make some announcements, we'd like to introduce ourselves so you know who we all are. This, by the way, is being broadcast worldwide, and so we all appreciate that and understand that. So we'll introduce the committee, and let's start with Senator Farron, pretending we're in the committee room, and we'll go right down that side.
Thank you, Senator Diamond. My name's Senator Brad Farron, representing Senate District 3, which is the majority of Somerset County.
Thank you. Senator Chipman. Senator Chipman not with us?
No, he isn't, Bill.
Is Representative Perry?
Yes, I am.
Oh, here he is. Good.
How you doing? My name's Wayne Perry, represent House District 10, which covers Arundel, Dayton, and most of Lyman.
Okay, and thank you. And we'll go to Representative Williams, Lynn Williams.
Unmute.
Unmute.
Oh, I got her.
Muting, yes. I'm Lynn Williams. I represent House District 135, Bar Harbor, Mount Desert, and Lemoyne.
Thank you, Representative Williams. Representative White, Dustin White.
Nope.
Okay, we'll go down the other side. Representative Perkins.
Oh, he was here.
He was.
Good afternoon. My name is Mike Perkins. I represent District Numbers 77, Oakland and Sydney.
Thank you. Representative Mark Bryant.
Thank you, Senator. I'm Mark Bryant. I represent part of Wyndham, House District 24.
Thank you. Representative Bruce White.
Hi, yes, Bruce White, and I am from Waterville, District 109.
Thank
Glad
you.
to be here.
Oh, glad to have you. Representative Tom Martin.
Not here.
Not here, okay. Representative O'Connell.
Good afternoon. My name is Kevin O'Connell. I represent District 128, which is 4/5 and 1/2 of Brewer.
Thank you. And Representative Sebra.
Not here.
Not here. And House Chair, Representative Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Danny Martin, House District 150, located in northern Worcester County.
Thank you, Chairman Martin. And my name is Bill Diamond, represent Senate District 26. I live in Wyndham, and my Senate District actually circles Sebago Lake. So welcome to everybody. Sam Prower is our analyst. Sam is with us.
Do you want me to introduce myself or just wave, smile and wave?
We'll get to you later, but thank you. We wanted you to do that. Is Karen Neto with us? Is it just you today?
I think it's just me today.
Okay, good. And Darlene Semino, who is the Pulse, excuse me.
Nope, that's okay. Right here.
Darlene Semino, who is clerk, committee clerk. And Darlene, of course, is kind of the technician that keeps us all here in one piece. So we really appreciate that. Thank you, Darlene.
You're welcome. And Bruce Van No has no mic. Can you hear us, Bruce?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can now. Okay.
Well, we're not
Perfect.
ready for you yet, Commissioner, so you hang tight, okay? So we do have a quorum. It's important that we announce that at every meeting because unlike a live in-person meeting, we want to make sure that that's on the record. So we do have a quorum and we are live, as I mentioned. And I think that everybody needs to be reminded that have your mute off until you want to speak. And if you want to ask questions or make any comments, please click your little hand so I can see it. And then I'll get to you as soon as there's an opening. As I said, we're going to be hearing from the commissioner and DOT for the first 45 minutes, and he will be ending no later than 1:45. And then we'll have the Commissioner Sawchuk of the Department of Public Safety. And we'll do some other announcements later. Chairman Martin, are there other things that we need to mention and bring up at the moment?
No, we're good, Senator.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, well, welcome, Commissioner Van Note. We appreciate you being with us. We're looking forward to being briefed on the department. We know that oftentimes we would go and do this in person, but I think this will be helpful, and maybe a little bit later on in session we can get together down to your place. So, welcome.
We would very much like that, Mr. Chairman, and Senator Diamond, Representative Martin, and other distinguished members. I am Bruce Van Note. I'm the Commissioner of Transportation. I've been around transportation in Maine for a little while. I was deputy for 12 years, and I was at the Turnpike for a while, and I've had a variety of roles. But all that pales in comparison by the team I have with me and at DOT that's outlined in your legislative briefing book. The purpose today is just give you a high-level overview for those of you that already kind of know us. It may not be a lot new, but you're the ones that can catch us on what we're saying. So that's what I like. You are a committee of oversight. The Department of Transportation and the Transportation Committee have an awful lot in common. And so I look forward to working with you. With that, I'd like to, normally we have a room full of people down here with all the great people that are pictured on like pages 12 to 17 or 19 in the book. That is a core team of people with decades of experience that are the reason DOT does what it can do. I am extremely blessed and fortunate to be working with such a high quality group of people. Any success I have is because of them, and any failure is my fault. So I'll start with that, and we'll just to keep it very concise and moving. I'll move on to Nina and others so they can introduce themselves to the committee.
Thank you, Bruce. I am Nina Fisher. I'm the Deputy Commissioner for Maine DOT. I know some of you, as we were talking earlier, I'm originally from Madawaska, where my father still lives, and my in-laws live in Brewer. So I feel like I have both of the reps here that I might need to bend ears from time to time. I live in Farmingdale with my husband, Adam, and we have 3 children who are thankfully all in school today, one of the 2 days a week that they're in school. So the exception of my cats jumping around like crazy animals, it's pretty quiet here in the house. Representative White, I love your virtual background. We have other ones that are Maine DOT focused that I could send to you to use as well. Like many of you, my focus is policy and communications within the department. And like many of you, I was focused on policy last year, right up until like March 15th. And it was a cold, hard stop where we all had to switch to communications. And we worked hard with Bruce, Megan, and our communications director, Paul Merrill, and I all worked really hard to keep our 2,000 employees informed, aware of what was going on, and reaching out to them through a myriad of different things, but primarily using the Zoom platform. So I know that's the most naughty one right behind us right
really
now.
Getting our attention. I want you to.
Yeah, he's at it. But it's great to be with you guys. And we're looking forward to this session. I, again, wish we could all be together, but we'll make this work as well.
Megan.
Hi, everyone. Most of you already, I've worked with most of you already for a few years now. But for the couple of new committee members, I am Megan Russo. I am the legislative liaison at the department. I have been with DOT for 5 years now. Prior to moving down to DOT, I worked for the state legislature, the state senate for 12 years. And My husband and I reside in West Gardner, and we have 2 daughters, ages 8 and 3. And I am at the office today, so you don't hear them running around in the background.
Karen.
So good afternoon. My name is Karen Doyle. I am the Director of Finance and Administration, or otherwise referred to as the Chief Financial Officer. So I will be working with the committee on any budget-related items. I've worked in state government over 20 years, and the majority of that has been at DOT. I'm going on my 16th year this year. And I also live in West Gardner with my husband and 2 teenage sons. So I'm at the other end of the spectrum where they're never home. So I'm at work.
Well, thanks. I was actually born in the county too, although Representative Martin, it's Holton, I know, south, but so I was born in the county, but raised mostly in Bath. Interests are there. I have 4 adult sons, so I'm done paying for college. Yes, well, that's a big deal. But very topical now. I also happen to be one of the 360,000 shareholders of Green Bay Packers Inc. So, if you're kind of missing the Patriots and you're looking for something to do at 3 o'clock Sunday, feel free to turn on and root for the Packers this Sunday. So anyway, with that, we have a video clip that we put together all in-house, which was just, we realized that DOT is sometimes seen as kind of nuts and bolts people, all highways, bridges, widgets, numbers, that kind of stuff. And what we were trying to get across to this, why we do all this, that transportation infrastructure isn't about the infrastructure itself, it's about the people it serves and how fundamental it is to all of them. So that's what this video is intended to do, and we put it together in-house. Paul Merrill was key to that. So we'll play that now.
From the first places the sun rises on our nation to the western Maine mountains, from our southern gateway to our northern border, transportation is fundamental. It connects us all. Investing in transportation means making sure our children get to school safely each school day. It means we have safe, reliable, and convenient commutes. Investing in transportation helps support our economy. It preserves our quality of life. We don't always think about these things, but they help make us who we are.
100% of anything that anybody purchases at one time or another had to be on a truck. Everything. From toothpicks all the way to automobiles.
And a majority of Maine's truck freight crosses the Piscataqua River Bridge.
95% of our trucks are hitting that bridge on a daily basis.
From iconic connections to unique ones, the Maine State Ferry Service is a lifeline to our state's island communities.
It's vital for everyone, for everything.
The Fisherman's Friend grocery store on Vinyl Haven has been relying on these daily arrivals and departures for more than 3 decades.
We use the ferry service every day for 100% of our freight that arrives on the island, so without it, we wouldn't have anything.
Maine's vast network of roads and bridges makes it possible to easily get from the ocean to the mountains and to all of the incredible places in between.
Connecting our rural economy with the metropolitan centers of southern New England is critical to our economy. It is the lifeblood of our economy.
The tourism industry in Rangeley relies on access from Route 4, the scenic byway that winds its way up from Farmington. Almost the entire stretch has been completely rebuilt in recent years.
What's been done to those roads has attracted motorists. They're much more pleasurable to drive than they used to be.
Some aspects of transportation in Maine have become destinations themselves. The Bangor and Brewer waterfronts have become places for people and vendors to gather.
This is like such a prime spot now. Can't even describe how much it's changed from the first year that we've been here. It's just been better and better every year.
This spot attracts hundreds of thousands of people all summer long for concerts and festivals.
It's a very popular destination just for being what it is. And then when we have events there, it just magnifies that.
Further down the river, the Penobscot Narrows Bridge and Observatory is the crown jewel of coastal Maine. It's the tallest public bridge observatory in the world.
Bob Scott River has been a large piece of my life over the years, and to see it from this perspective is amazing.
There are new perspectives in Naples, too. Investments have added to the mobility and magnificence of life on the lakes. Local businesses benefit from the Causeway Project.
I think people have a tendency, because of the sidewalks, to stay a little bit longer. You can walk down underneath the bridge and back around.
Tourists take in the views, students pose for prom pictures, and locals enjoy summer strolls.
Every time I walk down here, I see something like another beauty of it, and I always try to see something different every time I come down.
Along the coast, activity in Maine's 3 deepwater ports helps drive the local and state economies. Eastport is our nation's easternmost and northernmost port, the closest to both Europe and Africa.
And with changes that we're seeing in global shipping as it pertains to the Northwest Passage, that puts us in a location that is going to be advantageous for years to come.
The Portland waterfront hosts the International Marine Terminal, where you'll find stacks of containers from Iceland.
For the last 6-7 years that we've been calling here, we've been seeing a growth of 30-40%. We don't see this growth in anywhere in our system except for here.
Maine is becoming known as an important and accessible link to markets in Boston, New York, and beyond.
It was the outskirt of US, you could say, but this is now our first port of call.
By sea or by air, on rails or on roads, transportation is part of everything we do. It helps us get through Maine winters and soak up the sun during the summer months. And just like the weather, the technology that helps keep us moving safely is constantly changing. Transportation is part of what makes us Maine.
You can get there from here.
Our quality of life is part of our competitive advantage.
Transportation is not just something that's a benefit to Maine, but it allows for people who want that quality of life, want the beaches, the mountains, they want access to it all within a short drive. You can have that in Maine, yet be as connected to the world as anywhere else.
These are the things that are fundamental to our way of life.
Transportation is fundamental.
Transportation is fundamental to everything we do here.
Transportation is fundamental. It's fundamental to Rangeley and it's fundamental to Maine.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah, that was all done with video cameras and people downstairs. So we didn't, that was a great product. And obviously it's, we start with the Transportation Committee. I know for most of you know most of what you saw there, but for a lot of other people, I think they have to think of transportation as what it means to their life as opposed to, how many tons of pavement sometimes. So that was the intent. For the rest of the time we have, we're going to talk a little bit of just a very brief overview of the transportation system. That'll be me. I'm going to cut that very short because we have material in the briefing book. I want to keep us right on schedule, Mr. Chairman. So we're done at 1:45. And then Karen will spend a little time talking about what we call the highway funding flow chart, which looks kind of like this, which was recently sent to you, which was our attempt to take all things highway system funding related and put it on 1 8.5 by 11. It obviously has limitations, but it also allows a big picture. And then after Karen, I'll close with a few fiscal, hotter fiscal challenges for this particular session that I see coming. So just to spend about 5 minutes on the transportation system. This is mostly all summarized on starting on page 5 of your materials and running through, if you wanted to read it all, page 11. Bottom line, when you step back, again, DOT loves to talk about the widgets. We love to talk about 8,800 miles of state highway and almost 3,000 bridges and 1,200 miles, almost 1,300 miles of rail, of which the state owns 429, and we can rattle it all off. But the big overview takeaway from all of it is we have a wicked big land area with not that many people spread all over it with all kinds of infrastructure. Much more than our New England neighbors and much more than all states east of the Mississippi River. We're a big state for east of the Mississippi. You get west of the Mississippi and states like Wyoming and Idaho, and they kind of chuckle when we say Maine's a big state. But for east, it is huge. You can fit all the other New England states in it. Often, as longtime members know, we constantly get compared to New Hampshire because that's our only state border, right? And so what's going on in New Hampshire? And I said, what's their gas tax? What's our gas tax? That's a very common question, right? And I know I've talked to Representative Perry and Representative Farron and a whole bunch of people about that very issue. And I straightforwardly answer, I go, in Maine, it's 30, and New Hampshire, it's 24. And I said, if you gave me half the roads and half 30% less bridges, I could do some good stuff too with 24 cents. I mean, if someone owns a long driveway, they expect it to cost more to plow, right? If you have a really long driveway than 200 foot. Maine is a state of really long public driveways for people. We have lots of feet per capita. And that's the big picture. We're widely dispersed. And our geology, with all those beautiful rivers, scarred in, running northeast to southwest, in clay and all that, beautiful, makes the state what we are. It's expensive to go over all those geological structures. So it's a big job in Maine. Transportation's a big job in Maine. The actual facts of all of that, we are very multimodal compared to other states. We don't just have the highway and bridge system. DOT, by the way, takes care of about 8,800 out of the 23,000 public miles total. And people go, oh, that's not that much. It's the highest state percentage in New England because we have local control, not county control. And so the state takes on more than most states. And more importantly, although it's only 38% of public miles, 87% of all the traffic in the state are on the ones that DOT takes care of. And that makes sense. It should be that way. Higher priority roads should be taken care of at a state level, regional roads. We also have 3 deep water ports that we talked about. We have 21 transit providers statewide. We already talked about rail. There's almost 1,300 mile active track, 492 a state-owned track. Interesting things are happening in rail right now. Canadian Pacific bought Montreal, Maine, and Atlantic. That's a class 1. And CSX is looking to buy Pan Am, another class 1 that opens up the whole eastern seaboard. That's good news long-term, but it's not immediate. There's going to be a surface transportation board hearing happening at the federal level. So, but in 6 months, we could have 2 class 1s that are both heading west and south for freight rail, big stuff. We also run Amtrak. We have NEPRA, we have the Downeaster. A lot of states don't have that. We also have the Maine State Ferry Service, which was shown in that video. 6 Penobscot Bay Island with islands served by this, 7 vessels, 7 terminals, all the people. That is an investment to maintain their way of life out there. And you will have bills on the ferry service, and we'll be able to talk about that more. So along with the rail, we have trail, of course. We have a very active trail communities. There's East Coast Greenway, right down to individual projects, and there are a whole bunch of various quarter-specific trail groups, a lot of which think that we should be using some of our rail corridor assets. Longtime members of the committee know that sets us up for, there are some that think you should never do anything on a rail except rail corridor. Others think we should be using them all for trail, as DOT tends to do, and historically so is the committee. It usually comes down to a case-by-case thing, and we have to do an analysis. So I think you'll be hearing about that this session too. So that's the breadth of it. We got a big job to do. It makes it fun. It's an exciting time to be in transportation. We love it. I love knowing the whole state. I love knowing every corner. I absolutely very fortunate to be in the job I'm in. And I feel honored and privileged to be able to serve you and the people of Maine in this role. It's a big system, but we love taking care of it. So that's it for, the thumbnail sketch of the overview of the Maine transportation system. If you have any questions, we're here to answer it. With that, as longtime members of the committee know, I'm always prone to talk about money, because guess what? That's how we get our job done. And before we talk about specific things that may be coming up this session, which is what I'll close on. Thought we'd have Karen go through the kind of what we call the highway funding flow chart and kind of just describe the big picture of where the money comes and goes. So Karen.
Thanks. So hopefully people can see the screen. Did it come up? So this is a very high level chart that we put together to try and explain the funding of highway fund money. When you get the highway fund budget, that's only a part of the DOT budget, but this chart is to show highway funding mostly for highways and bridges. And I'm not going to do specific numbers, but just the concept is the highway fund revenue comes into the state of Maine. And then at the very beginning, a certain part comes off the top to go over to the TransCap Trust Fund at the Maine Municipal Bond Bank, where we issued revenue bonds that we have to pay back the debt service. So that's what is showing on the first arrows to the left. Goes over to the TransCap Trust Fund at the Maine Municipal Bond Bank. And then what's left in the first shaded green box is what's available for allocation. So that's what you will be seeing in the highway fund biennial budget when you get that in your possession. And what's happened traditionally is there's a little bit of money going over to TransCap shown there. And then the other agencies, Department of Administrative and Financial Services, DEP, the legislature gets a little tiny bit. The Department of Public Safety funding the state police and motor vehicle inspection and traffic safety, as well as the Bureau of Motor Vehicles at the Secretary of State. So those monies generally come off the top. And then what's left is what goes to Maine DOT. So in this biennial budget, as the governor presented a couple weeks ago, is about $525 million. And then that gets split up between the different programs at Maine DOT. So we've tried to show them kind of in order of how they flow. Administration would be the commissioner's office, the finance office, human resources, legal, creative services, all the things that help the department run. The next box on the right is local road assistance. That is money that goes directly to all the municipalities in the state of Maine by statute. 9% of that remainder to Maine DOT goes to local road assistance, and that's about 42 million over the biennium. The largest chunk of highway funds goes to the next box on the left, maintenance and operations. That's all the plow drivers out, that's all our crews throughout the state and all 5 regions that keep the network holding together. The next box down is Island Ferry Service, which we'll talk about. The highway fund pays 50% of the cost of that, and the fares pay the other 50%. Obviously this year it's been a little tough with fares being down, but we were able to get some federal help on that. So the service is still operating as usual. And then we put boxes in here to show you federal funds and state bonding. Those are critical in order to be able to fund highway and bridge capital. So in addition to the highway fund money that goes into highway and bridge capital, there are federal funds, both formula and discretionary grants, and there are state bonding, both general obligation bonds and Garvey bonds. And like Bruce said, we'll get into a lot more details, but this is just kind of a flow chart to try and show how the money comes in, where it goes out, and kind of to be a high level overview. So I know that's a lot really quickly. And to answer one of Senator Diamond's questions the other day about the supplemental budget was actually printed on Tuesday, I believe right as you were talking about it. It is LD 162, and so it should now be in your possession to schedule a public hearing when you're ready for it.
Karen, before you leave, are there questions from the committee members? Because I know, we're not expecting to get into the minutiae of this today, but there may be some general questions. So any questions from the committee members to Karen? Just remember, this was a biennial numbers. Remember, we heard from Secretary of State on a few days ago on Tuesday. And remember, her contribution from BMV was 41.1 million. Of course, what you just gave us was 89, because that's the biennium piece. Just sometimes those numbers get confusing to people, and so that's the kind of thing. Any questions before we finish, be sure to let me know. We'll get those answered. Okay. All set.
Actually, I did have a question.
Yeah, Representative.
Sorry, I didn't.
Senator Chipman.
I didn't find it.
Yep, go ahead, Senator Chipman.
Oh, I just had a question for the commissioner. Is he going to be back to answer questions or?
Yep. Yes, of course. Yeah, we'll circle back to the commissioner for the question.
Okay, thank you.
Who else had a question? I didn't see the hand.
I did. I didn't put the hand. Sorry about that. It's Representative Bruce White.
Yes, Representative White. Go ahead.
You mentioned the local road assistance. Now, is that like a piece that goes to each town, city?
Yes, each town and city in the state of Maine receives a check or an electronic deposit from the state of Maine the first week in December, representing their portion of that local road assistance. So there's a formula based on the number of lane miles and different things that we use to decide how to split up that approximately 42 million every 2 years. So it's about 21 million a year that gets split up, and each town does receive a piece as long as they turn in the certification that they're required to send in.
Great. Maybe I'll reach out to Megan maybe and get the figure for Waterville. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative White. Other questions of Karen before we move on? All right, Commissioner, I think we're ready to go next.
Thank you. Before I move to kind of fiscal, your question about 1 year versus biennial, Senator, was awesome. That's why we actually provided this little insert in there. We actually complicate it by a factor of 3, Senator, because this is annual. This gives you an idea just where's the money coming and going on an annual basis. And the reason we do that is that because we obviously have biennial budgets, and you can generally multiply by 2, and it's generally correct on average. And then we also put out 3-year work plans that we're about to put out next year. So I do this so that I was exactly in your shoes 15 odd years ago when someone told me to go up and testify to a budget, and that wasn't my job yet. I was across the hall, and times have changed. And I asked questions like, how much comes in, and very basic stuff. So how much per year? And so this was all, this and the flow chart were all generated for that very high level kind of stuff. And so the handout in the materials is an annual amount, roughly $830 million a year of all sources, color coded by highway fund, federal funds, bonding, and other. Generally, the 2-year numbers are double that, and the work plan numbers are generally triple that. There are some differences that are explained in the work plan, but that gives you the big picture. So
thank you for that
observation, Mr. Chairman. Lastly, I'm going to make sure that we finish right up at 1:45 because I don't want to hold you up or keep public safety waiting. I just thought I'd put it in context, a lot of observation of our funding mix when you look at it. In fact, Chairman Diamond, you had a question right off. Is that federal money really going to come through? That seems like an awful lot of federal money. And good observation, we rely on competitive federal grants. Competitive, we apply for grants, do basic needs now. They're not like for extra special cool projects. That's what they used to be. Things like Madawaska Bridge, we'd get a big federal grant, but now we're bundling just regular interstate bridges and stuff because that's just where we are. We have to, turn over every rock. And so we do rely on funding that is less reliable than state revenue or federal revenue that just comes every year. The gold standard for flexibility and reliability is the green, if you will. That's why it's colored green, by the way. It feels most like cash. It's like you actually have something. That's state highway fund and the formula funds portion of the federal funds. They deficit spend to make it happen down there, but that's not up to us. We balance budgets up here and they figure out other stuff down there, but the money does come. So that reliance on less reliable funding is a long-term challenge. And there was a Blue Ribbon Commission established that I know Chairman Diamond and the other senator and other people were on it. We looked at that. And with all that, with what we're already doing, and assuming that we get $100 million of state geo bonding every year, that's not every biennium, that's annually, the Blue Ribbon Commission found that the unmet need was about $230 million a year. Just a huge challenge. And you will find no one that doesn't advocate more for board transportation revenue in the state of Maine than me. I just think, I think for the reasons of the video and everything else, I think we touch everybody's lives and we can drive the economy, and it makes people safer, their quality of life better, and their economic prosperity better. With that said, as I've had an opportunity to talk with the chairs before and other legislative leaders. That report, the final report of the Blue Ribbon Commission, was issued on March 9th last year. It seems like a lot longer to me, but it was just March 9th. Obviously, less than a week later, our world changed. We have a pandemic. And that obviously has to change state priorities. It has to change where you go. You know, so although I think we need that transformative revenue conversation in Maine, you are not going to hear me pounding on your door saying it should happen in the next year or two. Simply because we have to get people healthy, the economy healthy, balanced budgets. I mean, that's just the reality from my perspective of where we are. And so I think that conversation, the work of the Blue Ribbon Commission, which, you know, got things started, didn't finish it, got things started, I think has to kind of take a back seat for a year or two until we defeat the pandemic and we get everybody on their feet again. So what that means is we need to rely on traditional kind of sources of how we put things together before. We do have the building blocks to do that for the next year or two. We have federal funds, the formula federal funds that they talk about. We will continue to turn over every discretionary grant that's possible. There is some COVID related type relief money that fell from the sky. It's not like all good news because we planned on that happening. We sat here the whole year over the fall saying, someone's got to give us something eventually. Eventually, something's got to come in for highways and bridges. And we targeted 30 million. We said, you know, geez, I think it's got to be. And it was just a placeholder. The second coronavirus relief bill that was signed by the president a couple days after Christmas at the end of December did finally have something for highways for DOTs. The first one from April had big money for transit. That's why all the transit agencies, they are okay for a year or two. They have enough money to keep operating. That's why you're not hearing screaming from them. But on the highway side, we were short because with traffic plummeting, obviously, so did fuel tax and highway fund revenue, right? So it appears the number that has been said is that maybe around 46 million will be available from that. It's called CRESA, by the way. That's, I'm not going to read the all name for it, but think of it as CARES 2 in late December. 46 million for highways. We had planned on 30. That doesn't necessarily, there are a lot of other factors that doesn't mean that, okay, we got 16 extra. That's not just, there are a lot of variables that I'm about to talk about. And before I leave the federal level, I think it's people constantly, the question I'm getting most is, I hear, you know, the new president is going to just flip a lot of money your way. You know, a lot of money is coming for infrastructure. And I certainly hope so. I actually expect something. I do. But hope's not a plan, and I can't spend it. I think something may come, whether it's another stimulus as early as this spring that has something. I don't know. It'll depend how Congress decides to work with each other, right? How is that going to work? Transportation, just like in this state, tends to be pretty bipartisan down in Washington. Most people want to do something about it, but just like here, the pay for is always the question. And so we don't know. I would expect some kind of big infrastructure package maybe when the current federal reauthorization, the FAST Act, expires September 30th of this year. So I'm hopeful, but I can't plan on it yet. But we are working on two different tracks. It's actually kind of a challenge to keep people motivated internally. On one hand, I tell everyone to, we're MacGyvers, patch it together, hold it together. We got to tread water for 2 more years. We can do it. We can make it, you know, let's do it. And then the news comes out, money is going to rain from the sky from Washington, you know. So we do MacGyver, but we create an alternative little track that prepares in case there is money that becomes available. Before I leave that level, just the word shovel ready may be one of the two words that I dislike more than any other. There really is nothing called shovel ready. You know, the idea that you can just snap your finger and you have your permits and you've done all the work you need with municipalities and utilities and everything to start turning over dirt in a week is just not true. We have those projects, they're in our work plan, but we are actually trying to put a queue together on a separate thing that's not in our work plan that we can accelerate in case that happens. So we're trying to have what we call maximum agility, you know, that we can continue to MacGyver, hold things together. If it happens, we'll be ready to shift to that. So that's it on the federal level. On the state level, bonding is going to be the way we get through again. I mean, it is. There is no question. This year, the governor's still putting together her bond package. I expect transportation to be in there for 150 million, as opposed to 100 this year. Whether it's geo bonding or other kinds of bonding, we just talked about Transcat bonding and other things like that. Don't know yet. That depends on conversations to still have. Obviously, if I find out anything, you guys will be the first to know, or it might be happening in front of you. You might be the ones, you know. So that extra 50 million, if you will, this year is consistent with the Economic Recovery Committee, governor's team that put together that says, what should we do? And so that bonding is going to be the way we get through. The biggest lift, if it is all GL bonding, is that cash flow wise, we need a piece of it to be in June, on a June ballot. I know how heavy a legislative lift that means in a first regular session. Budgets usually go well past that. To get on a June ballot, the legislature would have to finally act sometime in the first part of April to get on a June ballot. That is not easy, and I get it. And the legislature is generally not set up for that, which is why we're looking for other ways to avoid that if there's a way to do it. But right now, that's kind of the current plan we're sitting on, and I just wanted to make you all aware of it because that's a big deal. So that's where I think we are in terms of, you know, big picture fiscal overview for this session and the challenges we have. And I think that puts by my watch us at about 1:44, Mr. Chairman.
You did a great job. We have a couple of quick questions. Senator Chipman and then Representative Perry each have a quick question. Senator Chipman.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Van Note, for coming to present to us today. I wanted to ask about the recent sale of the rail line between Pan Am and CSX. And if you could tell us just a little bit about that. I know we had Northern New England Passenger Rail Authority had a really good relationship with Pan Am, and we used part of their line for the Downeaster. But I'm wondering what the relationship is with the state, between the state and CSX. How does that relationship look with the new owner of that line, or who will become the new owner of that line when the sale goes through?
Commissioner, if you can do that very briefly, and then we'll get back to Senator Chipman with more information afterwards, because we do have another agency waiting on. But if you could respond as briefly as possible.
I think the relationship is generally good, but evolving. CSX is a big, huge class one that they deal in multiple states. So we're just one of many. It's not like we're going to be anything special to them. So that we have to make sure we nurture that relationship to make sure that the NEPRA and all the other things that happen in the state can happen. So that's my short answer to that.
Thank you. We'll get more on that too, Senator Chipman. Representative Perry.
Yeah, Mr. Commissioner, real quick on the bond. Is the reason why it's really hard is because it has to be in that general fund budget? And is there any way to put language in if we passed a bill next week, for an example, that it could be contingent on being in the budget in June?
That would be I don't know is the short answer, but I always like the creativity of problem solving. You know that. We want it to stay general fund. It used to be that we had tens of millions of dollars of highway fund debt service for highway fund issued bonds. General fund avoids that. I know that there is sufficient debt service, I believe, in the general fund that would support a bond of this size.
Currently?
as proposed.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
But
That's
of
why,
course,
that's why I was just wondering if there was any language that we could add to kind of put the cart before the horse and possibly pass something right away, with the caveat we're not going to come back in December or in November with another one. Would be the
yeah,
caveat.
I will actually be, I'm looking to split them. I'm looking for 50 in June and 100 in November, because I want to get back to the November cadence. It's much better for long-term planning. This June thing is really difficult on everybody.
Yeah, and I know where there's 250 million.
Yeah, I understand the policy position. I look forward to working with you.
Welcome back, Representative Perry. Representative O'Connell, a quick question.
I just want to let the commissioner know that he and I are on the same page for Sunday. Go Pack, go.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Use all the help I can get.
There you go. Any other questions quickly from the committee? If not, we will, yes, Representative White.
This is just a quick comment to say thank you to Commissioner Benno and the staff. And I've got to give a shout out to Megan, who helps us directly, has been very helpful in my first term of always responding when I've had a constituent question. And it's really helpful. I mean, it really means a lot when I can get back to a constituent. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Representative. That's what I'm here for.
Well, you're welcome. And that goes back to all the people in this sheet. I could not do it without them. I am extremely fortunate, and they are all there to serve you. So thank you for the opportunity to both the chairman and the entire team.
Thank you. Senator Farron.
Yeah, just real quick, Representative White, there's some creepy guy over your shoulder in the background, just so you know.
But wearing an awesome vest.
There we go. Let's keep it fun.
Thank you. Was there one more question that I missed, or are we all set?
Yes, I just wanted to let Nina know that her in-laws are amazing people.
Well, all right.
They are pretty fantastic. We're anxious for them to get the vaccine so we can see them again.
Great people.
Yeah.
Thank you all. We appreciate it. Thank you, Commissioner, and all of your team. We look forward to some more meetings and more in-depth discussions, because obviously we just touched on some of these today. So thank you again to everybody who helped and participated in today's meeting with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
Chairman.
everyone.
And Darlene, I think we're ready for Commissioner Sawchuk.
They're jumping on right now.
There you go. Okay. We don't see him yet.
Yep, the commissioner's there.
Is he?
Yep, they're all
Senator
here.
Diamond, hello, sir.
Oh, there he is. Okay, thank you. Commissioner, thank you for being with us, and thank you for adjusting your time. We appreciate that. And we're looking forward to your comments, you and your team.
Thank you very much, sir. Thanks for having us. We're certainly honored to be here. It's nice to see everybody, even in the Zoom platform. It's nice to get up and running. And we're definitely excited about having the opportunity to work through the 130th, and let's get some work done. So thank you very much. Now, it's tough coming after the Department of Transportation. They've got some flashier material than we may have. I was giving Bruce a hard time. This whole legislative briefing book thing started with them, and they sent out the DOT booklet. And they said, don't worry about it, though. It doesn't have to be as good as DOT, but we're looking for some kind of an example. You're killing me over here. But we're pretty proud of the group, more importantly, that we brought in front of you today. For me, I'm going to kind of hit that 30,000 foot view and then roll it over to the pros, folks that you're going to see directly in front of you testifying at various times. We are certainly looking at this as an orientation, obviously, so we can dig in anywhere you like. We can certainly come back. We can get back to you. We can send you an email. I'll give you my cell number, whatever works, and we'll make sure we get you as much information as we can. So for today, I will lead off. Our highway safety director, Lauren Stewart, will be right after me. Colonel Cody will be in after that, and Lieutenant Bruce Scott will be here as well. All people that you know very, very well. And for starters, I'm going to go ahead and grab the screen share, I think, and show you and kind of walk you through this legislative briefing book a little bit from the Department of Public Safety. We did send this out to everybody. I would encourage you to keep an eye on it. It's 20 pages, some light reading if you're trying to put yourself to sleep some night. But it does give you some pictures. It gives you some snapshots of the various bureaus within DPS. And I think it provides a good benchmark for these future conversations. And again, you'll be speaking live with some folks here momentarily. So just standard table of contents here. And we had pulled off some good information that we think would be valuable. You know, for us in general, it's about 625 positions, 10 bureaus, and one of those bureaus happens to be right here in the commissioner's office. So we would call that an administrative or administration bureau. And then we'll hit on the rest of these in just a second. But as you know, there's a split budget that Colonel Cody will discuss, 65-35, when John's portion of the presentation comes up. But we wanted to kind of lead with this. What does that mean for the Transportation Committee? And that's about 24% goes to Highway Fund, or comes from Highway Fund, at about 32.2 million. And that's just a general snapshot there. We also have Kendra Coates, who's what we would call a DPS, the assistant to the commissioner, which a lot of other departments would call deputy. So Kendra's my right hand. She's amazing, been an incredible addition to the team here at DPS, a very heavy finance background. So if we need to come back with some specifics, or Kendra may be able to dive in on that today if need be. But if not, we can certainly come back and chat it up. Mission, vision, values. This stuff is incredibly important. I think for me, the heart of organizations aren't that you have a value set that is on a letterhead someplace or in law enforcement on the side of a car. True, well-run organizations have those values, stamped on your heart. That's how we do things. And that's why we included that information here today in this presentation. Not going to get crazy with statutes and things of that nature, but we thought we would provide where a lot of these authorities come from, because everybody's wired a little different. Maybe you'd want to go in and take a look at one of these as it's appropriate. Certainly highway safety is on here, state police are on here, and then the general overview for DPS is information that you can find. And some of these subject matter statutes also may be of value to you, or maybe not. And then we kind of broke this thing down just based on the various bureaus, so you can put a face to a name. And this would be Kendra, who's on the call today, as I mentioned. So there's some brief bios, a little brief more on the bio side, and more on the what does that bureau do? What's the daily function? Danielle Namer is amazing. That's the executive assistant for myself, Colonel Cody, and the entire command suite. And the reason we want Danielle there, as usual, the people that run these departments, boots on the ground, organizing, somebody you may talk to on the phone, who's going to be scheduling meetings. Danielle is the cream of the crop, and we're lucky to have her. Chris Parr, long-term Maine State Police attorney and legislative liaison coordinator. So Chris is touching all of these various things, certainly as we roll the full session. Capitol Police is obviously one of our bureaus. I will say to this group, obviously the Capitol Police, Chief Govan in particular, there's been a lot of publicity around that over the last week or so. Unfortunately, I really can't discuss that matter, but it's obviously the elephant in the room. And I will tell you that we take that situation incredibly seriously, and we are looking at that and addressing it from an investigative standpoint in a timely fashion. There's a very good group of professionals there that truly do care about each and every one of you and the safety of certainly the State House complex and our other state properties, and more than happy to discuss that further if you like. Brody Hinckley is the Director of Emergency Communications. Emergency communications is really a lifeline. We have boots on the ground, officers and investigators and all these things that are out there day in and day out. But who are they all coming back to? And that's that communications division. And Brody's great as well, and we're certainly lucky to have him. We talk about Maine EMS. Maine EMS is really heavily involved in the state's COVID response. Sam Hurley is amazing. He's currently seeking his doctorate, and he's just been an amazing asset for me. Really, I can have an internal expert on COVID and response, and Sam's at the table with CDC every single day. So he's been an amazing addition with us as well. Joe Thomas, Chief Thomas, is the fire marshal's office. For that particular team, they think fires and but we have a strong life safety code aspect. So inspectors and code work. We also have arson investigators that fall under the fire marshal's office. And Joe has been with us for a long time in various positions, and certainly as the fire marshal for quite some time as well. Gambling Control Unit, Milt Champion as the director there. Milt works directly through the VLA, so that's going to be his primary committee. But we certainly do some work regulating casinos and fantasy sports and things of that nature. This is a picture of a professional you know well. Director Stewart is top notch, is heavily involved nationally as well in these conversations, which I think has great value for the state of Maine and certainly for me. And you'll be talking to Lauren here momentarily. Rick Desjardins is new as the director of the Maine Criminal Justice Academy. He was the deputy director before John Rogers left, and we did a national search. And Rick has really flowed right into that role. As you can imagine, every one of these bureaus, just like you and me in our personal lives, and as a legislative body, have had to change everything that they've done from a training perspective. With Rick and his team at the academy, we've openly said, they're not working outside the box. They don't even know where the box is anymore. They are so heavily involved in doing things different. Now with COVID and rolling into 2021, there's a really good group out there. Maine Drug Enforcement Agency, Roy McKinney's been with us about 20 years or so, so heavily involved, certainly in the opioid response at a lot of different levels, not just with enforcement, but certainly part of that prevention and treatment conversation as well. A true subject matter expert, again, that has a national reputation. Colonel John Cody, I'll tell you, the Maine State Police have been amazing to me since I've been here, like all the rest of our bureaus. John's a very strong partner, and obviously you'll talk to John momentarily. When you look at that 625, a large percentage of those folks happen to fall under the Maine State Police umbrella. We don't have an extensive amount of time today. But we did obviously plug in Lieutenant Scott a little later. We did provide, when we sent out this particular legislative briefing book, we did put another whole section in there for the Maine State Police structure, because it's important that you dig into that a little bit. It's certainly an entity that most of you are very familiar with, and we'll be back talking a lot about when it comes to budgets. So John and his team have been great. So that's the bureaus in particular. Some legislative oversight for us in criminal justice, public safety is probably obvious. Obviously, the Transportation Committee, Judiciary, we spent a fair amount of time, and VLA covers gambling. Not uncommon for us to be in front of Health and Human Services as well. And I'm glad to see that, actually. I think that means that we're hitting our mission appropriately. It's not just running around. We're not just talking about arresting people. We are talking about providing those services. What cops do specifically in 2021 in my time in the business: mediate, facilitate, and communicate. That's kind of what our bread and butter is. And on top of that, we also fight crime and do all kinds of other stuff. So there's some work here on the legislative oversight side of the house, boards and commissions, and there are many. And this continues. We have 6 bills that are department bills. None of those specifically, I think, will fall under transportation. So I won't spend a lot of time there, but I'm happy to come back. Again, we are here to serve you. And then we spent some pages here, probably about the last 6 or so, ongoing initiatives and emerging challenges. I could talk about this stuff all day because I'm proud of the work that we're doing. And I think these bureau directors are champions in their areas. And there's a lot of good work there. And we want to highlight these things. But again, I have a limited amount of time in front of you today. So I am going to kind of buzz through this portion. If you had a chance to see this, that's great. And if not, maybe this will spur you to take a look. Obviously with highway safety and Maine State Police, you're going to see them today anyway. So we can dig in there as well. So with that in mind, I'm going to stop talking and roll this over to Director Stewart to kind of talk about the Highway Safety Bureau, if that's okay with you, Mr. Chair.
Yep, that's fine. Thank you.
Sounds great. I'm going to come out of the share here. And Lauren, you are up.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Transportation Committee, for inviting us to present our bureaus to you today. Before I dig in, I just want to make sure that everybody can hear me okay, because I have some speaker issues on my end here. So if everybody can hear me.
Think you're good.
Thank you so much. All right, good. So every state has and territory has a highway safety office, and all of the highway safety offices around the nation are tasked with the primary responsibility of reducing.
The volume just went away.
The volume just dropped down.
Oh,
So
how's this?
there you go.
All right, I'll hold my mic up. Our responsibilities are primarily to reduce death, serious injuries, and property damage that result from motor vehicle crashes. Our highway safety office here in Maine consists of 7 full-time employees and several grant-funded positions who conduct specific activities for us. And you'll see some of those in a little bit as I move through my slides. In Maine, our Bureau is responsible for coordinating the safety efforts of federal, other state agency, and local entities that are involved in traffic safety. We leverage our resources and foster partnerships to implement effective statewide programs. Many of our programs are funded by the U.S. Department of Transportation's National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, which we call NHTSA. And our other programs we're responsible for are not necessarily federally funded, but they're either state highway funded or they're funded through some special revenue that we generate through our program. The Bureau's application for federal funding is our annual highway safety plan. And that plan includes all of the federally funded projects that we plan to implement in the upcoming federal fiscal year. The list that you see before you and that you'll see on some of the following pages highlights just a few of the programs. So we're actively involved in programs to curb drug and alcohol impaired driving, programs for adult occupant protection and child passenger safety. Of course, distraction and fatigue is an area that we concentrate on. Speeding and aggressive driving is an issue here in Maine, although it's not necessarily a national initiative. It certainly is for us. We fund and implement improvements for state traffic record systems. Motorcycle safety is an important area for us. We fund initiatives with the emergency medical services, pedestrian and bicycle safety, and of course, young and older drivers. We also, because the drug and alcohol impaired driving is one of our biggest problems here in Maine, it's also one of our largest program areas. And as part of our impaired driving program, we assist law enforcement agencies with additional overtime patrols that are specific to impaired driving. We fund regional impaired driving enforcement teams in several counties, which bring together officers to conduct checkpoints and other saturation patrols in high impaired crash locations. We fund training for drug recognition experts and advanced roadside impaired driving enforcement training. And right now, I say we generally have just around 100, sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less drug recognition experts. And I think we've funded much more than 800 officers for the ARIDE training. We also fund law enforcement phlebotomy technicians. And for those agencies who have the phlebotomy technicians and the drug recognition experts, we reimburse them for the call outs so that they will call out and go to other agencies to assist them. We have procured and manage a roadside testing vehicle. And we also fund one state police trooper who serves as our statewide impaired driving reduction coordinator. We fund a full-time traffic safety resource prosecutor, and we fund training for prosecutors around the state. We have a part-time judicial outreach liaison, and we also do judicial training. We fund special prosecutors for impaired driving in the counties of Cumberland, York, Androscoggin, Penobscot, and Kennebec. And we also work with our partners at AAA to hold an annual impaired driving summit. We also fund prosecutor training and law enforcement training specific to their needs. And we have 2 chemists on our staff who conduct blood drug testing at the Department of Health and Human Services Health and Environmental Testing Lab. For the state implied consent portion of our impaired driving program, we work closely with the HEDL at the DHHS. We fund a full-time chemist to oversee the just about 93 breath testing and toxicolizer machines that are placed around the state. The costs include travel, technology, supplies and materials, everything necessary to keep those machines maintained and running efficiently. We fund all testing and supplies for blood alcohol and urine drug tests, as well as stipends for any civilian phlebotomists who are willing to conduct evidentiary blood draws on our behalf. For our occupant protection and child passenger safety, we coordinate education and the distribution of child safety seats to our income eligible children by way of a network of certified child safety seat technicians with partnerships with entities who assist low-income families, and by offering educational support to all Maine children and families to ensure that every child rides safely. We also support occupant protection programs to educate adults through the use of PSAs, interactive events, and workplace safety education as well. So that NETS that you see on the screen stands for the Network of Employers for Traffic Safety, and we work closely with them to help businesses ensure that their assets and their individuals are riding safely as well. We also fund and coordinate advancing various traffic related systems from paper-based systems to electronic systems. And you might recognize a few of these that are listed here. Most notable are the Maine Crash Reporting System, the EMS Trauma Registry System, the EMS Run Reporting System, and the e-citation system. And those are all systems here in Maine that have gone from a paper-based or non-existing system to an electronic traffic records system, which improves accuracy, timeliness, completeness of traffic records. And we're pretty proud of being able to help with those initiatives. For the other programs, we also administer projects in the areas of distracted driving, pedestrian and bicycle safety, motorcycle safety, teen and mature drivers, and of course, we fund a very robust public education media campaign. Our annual funding for state highway funds is just a tad over $641,000. We bring in between 8,000 and 10,000 generally with our special revenue, which is the program Maine Driving Dynamics that we offer around the state, which helps people who are in jeopardy of losing their license for too many points to get points back on their license. It also offers an insurance discount for older drivers. For our federal funding through NHTSA, annually approximately $6.4 million to conduct those activities that I just talked about. And then we also received about $36,000 a year to manage the FARS program, which stands for Fatality Analysis Reporting System. And that $36,000 pays almost half of one salary in our office. So I hope that's a quick overview of the Bureau of Highway Safety. And if you'd like, I am willing to answer any questions that anybody may have, or if you prefer, we could do that at the end, whatever you wish to do.
And any questions from the committee members? We can always come back for sure at the end. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And Colonel Cody?
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a privilege to be with you and to see all your faces again as we look forward to a new session. I want to first introduce the team members that I have with me from my command staff. First is Lieutenant Colonel Bill Harwood. He's the Deputy Chief, and I think anybody knows that many times the number 2 position, without a doubt, has the heaviest lift in an agency, and he's no exception. He oversees some of the most important aspects of our agency. He's tasked with overseeing our budget and remains in close contact with people in DAFs. He oversees our personnel issues and ensures that we're holding people accountable and yet being fair and consistent. And he also really was a key member in creating and designing a wellness program for our personnel. So he really has a lot to do each day, is very gifted at it, and really lucky to have him as part of our team, really holding down some of the key components that make us successful. Also with me is the support services major, Major Brian Scott. Major Scott, again, oversees a lot of the issues and the parts of our department that you may not necessarily understand or readily recognize that fall to the state police. And we'll get into some of those, some of the wide array of services that we provide. But a lot of it is the backbone of communication that we provide for our local and county law enforcement partners, and connecting them with the national network of information that's reserved for law enforcement. So again, thankful for his expertise in that area. The operations major, Major Bill Ross, is on here as well, and he oversees the operations division. And traditionally, that's when you talk about state police, the operations division are the people that come to mind. They're the people in the blue uniforms, the people in truck weights, they're the detectives that handle homicides. So he oversees our 8 field troops and our major crimes units. So, and then also with us today is Lieutenant Bruce Scott, who oversees the traffic safety division, and I'll let him drill down deep on all the areas of responsibility that they have and why you might get to know him pretty well by the end of this session, and he'll probably be a familiar face to you if he's not already. All right, so let me try that. All right, so hopefully that's showing up the way Lauren's did, that showing okay. So, so our primary goal has us really protecting lives and properties of the citizens of Maine and those who visit the state. We do that by enforcing motor vehicle and criminal laws, and really focus on rural parts of Maine that are not served by a full-time local police department. We also focus on the Maine Turnpike and Maine's interstate system. Our bureau, the major crimes units and those detectives investigate all homicides in the state except for those that occur in Portland and Bangor. And again, we'll talk about the wide variety of services provided within the support services division. So you can see our field troops are part of the operations. Support services brings up a lot of different entities, including our MIAC, the Maine Information and Analysis Center. And I'll talk a little bit about that, our state's fusion center for the state of Maine. And one of the primary roles there is making sure that we kind of have our ear to the rail, detecting any type of threats or other aspects that might be of interest to law enforcement or present issues that Maine needs to respond to. And certainly over the last several weeks, the MIAC has played a critical role, not just for the state police, but for all of our partners throughout the state at every level, as they worked to gather and analyze information that was coming from a wide variety of sources, unofficial open sources, but also intelligence that had been vetted and refined coming from official sources, with a real focus on what was tasked and targeted towards Maine. And they were allowing our agency and other agencies to have the proper level of readiness for what might be coming to Maine. So that was a key role. They also assisted with our executive protection unit in vetting and keeping their ear for threats to our governor. The EPU and MIAC assisted in helping local agencies protect some of our national delegate members. In one case specifically, Senator King, some threats directed towards him, and coordinating with Brunswick Police Department to ensure that the main part of that kind of connection was secure. So again, beyond that, we have the State Bureau of Identification, we have commercial vehicle enforcement, and the computer crimes unit. So a lot of different ways that that we serve the state and try and protect Maine and its people. Funding sources, kind of a unique model that our general operations are split funded, 35% highway and 65% general. We also have grant funding. We also have certain groups that are funded through special revenue. And as I go through the various parts of our unit, you'll see those kind of corresponding gears of funding are a constant theme through today's presentation, so you can kind of understand where the money comes from that lets us do our job. Headcount, our authorized sworn headcount is 330. Right now we have 26 vacancies, including 17 trooper vacancies. You can imagine one of our focuses right now is recruitment and retention. Over the past year, certainly police and public relations, police reform, a lot of things have impacted our agency, and we've done our best to respond to that, to make adjustments to our policies and protocols, the way we conduct business, knowing that there's always ways to improve. But one of the things that it has impacted is just that the general highlight and scrutiny of law enforcement certainly has impacted our ability to recruit new people and make them think that law enforcement is a place where they want to spend a 25-year career. We have 118 civilian employees, and really no one plays a small part in our agency. These civilians do some of the heavy lifting, and some of the services that the general public have come to rely on are carried out by our civilian people. And there we have just a limited number of vacancies currently. So our total authorized positions, both sworn and civilian, are 448. So operations division, again, real quickly, that falls to Major Bill Ross. And again, these are the traditional, the 7 field troops that you're all familiar with, the 3 major crimes units, and included with Major Crimes Unit Central is the Unsolved Homicide Unit that was created in 2016. Troop G is law enforcement on the Maine Turnpike. That is funded solely by the Maine Turnpike Authority. And, criminal investigations, crash investigations, but a huge focus towards drug interdiction. A lot of data that we receive from federal authorities, from Maine Drug Enforcement, federal DEA, would show that the Maine Turnpike and 95 are main corridors for illicit drugs coming into Maine, as well as some of the cash and weapons that are used as currency in some of those illicit drug transactions in Maine. So those officers really focus on looking beyond the initial stop and looking for indicators of criminal activity. And Troop K is, more formally known as truck weights, the commercial vehicle enforcement. They enforce both state and federal regulations to Maine's commercial vehicle. And I think they have a great reputation throughout New England and probably throughout the East Coast with our commercial motor vehicle carriers about taking the right approach of education with enforcement, but really a reputation within Maine that if you are going to be operating a commercial vehicle in Maine engaged in commerce, you need to have your ducks in a row. Your equipment needs to be safe. Your drivers need to be properly credentialed. And certainly our roads and the interactions that our motorists have with commercial vehicles are much safer because of that reputation and that fair, firm, and friendly enforcement that our truck weight unit is known for. The operations divisions, when we look at our 2020 statistics, and again, this data does not include overtime. You heard Director Stewart reference many of the grants that they have that target things like seatbelt, distracted driving, impaired driving. Our troopers are the boots on the ground that carry out the work that comes from those grants. So what we do is we segregate those statistics from just the normal everyday work that our people do. So when you look at the calls for service last year, it really was a reduction of about 10,000 calls for service. Much of that is because many calls for service are officer initiated. You may or may not be aware that currently we have taken steps to curtail some of our proactive operations and proactive enforcement by our officers in order to minimize their risk of exposure to COVID, not only for their safety and their family safety, but also the safety of the public that we serve. So they've made adjustments based on our directions. And we know that that's impacting some of these numbers, especially in the right-hand column. We look at burglaries, thefts, and domestic violence. Again, we've seen a reduction in domestic violence numbers for the year, not necessarily indicative of what people are seeing day to day. But it really is on the right hand of this column. When you look at arrest on warrants, many of the arrest on warrants are solely proactive work. Traffic stops, summonses, and warnings certainly down. An interesting stat as we look at that is the traffic crashes are at par or above, especially in fatal crashes. And that is despite overall a reduction in traffic last year during some of the different phases of the lockdown and COVID curtailments. But crashes and fatals remained on par. So what do we do? What do our people, when we ask them what should they be focusing on when they leave their driveway in the morning or they begin their shift? Certainly opioids, the opioid epidemic and its impact in Maine. We want every officer to have the drug interdiction skills, collaborating with private and public sector partners for diversion programs and alternative sentencing. Certainly we have taken a step to handle those with substance use disorder and possession amounts much different than we do, again, a roadside stop that may come up with hundreds of grams of narcotics, tens of thousands of dollars of currency and weapons. Certainly we're not going to treat them the same. And so we've worked with some of the local programs that are there to come alongside this person with substance use disorder and look at the options that they have at that point that may avoid criminal charges, that may avoid the normal process and hopefully getting them pointed to where they can recover and live a meaningful life. And we have signed on and been a big part of those throughout regions in Maine. Domestic violence will always be a priority and an area we will not relent. Mental health, again, an area where we're looking at programs that are starting to have co-responders, maybe more successful in urban setting like Portland or Bangor, but we know as they increase the number of these community mental health partners that there may be an opportunity for a trooper to do kind of a warm handoff to someone to help bring this person to get the help and resources they need. School efforts, another area where we know we need to keep a focus to make sure that our children and teachers and the parents know that a school is a safe place for their students to be, and that law enforcement are properly equipped and trained on how to respond on that day if it ever comes. And we've trained dozens and hundreds of law enforcement officers throughout the state on how to properly respond to an active shooter or threats at schools. And we certainly see that as a role that it makes sense to lend that consistency to a statewide response so that even if officers from other agencies are responding together, they both have received the same training, they understand what the tactics and strategies are, and we know that multi-agency training and the multidiscipline response is the reality of life, especially in rural Maine. Distracted driving efforts. We've worked closely with the legislature to gain what we feel probably more recently is a more enforceable distracted driving law. And that has allowed us to take more proactive steps and hopefully impactful steps to deal with distracted driving. You don't have to be on the road very much to see somebody on their phone looking down, as you're meeting them at 60 and they're meeting you at 60, they've got their eyes down on their lap. And we recognize the problem that presents for everyone. And one of the initiatives that we're working on collectively now is to start the process for the Maine Law Enforcement Accreditation Program. As the chief, I worked closely with several local police chiefs to design a system whereby agencies, regardless of their size in Maine, can start to adopt these standards of how they conduct business and attain this accreditation to show that they're willing to go above and beyond to make sure their house is in order, that they're doing things right. And we know that we are going to be putting that foundation now so that hopefully by the end of this biennium, the state police will achieve that accreditation level through that program. Any questions on the operations side of the house before we move on to support services? Okay, seeing none. The Sports Services Division, again, this is an area where our agency really is the safety net for so many agencies throughout the state. Many of the services we provide, they would not have the ability to provide those services and skill sets within their own resources. So again, we talked briefly about the MIAC. It's coordinating law enforcement intelligence support for major and complex cases, as in the, this threat assessment that occurred over the last couple of weeks. We really, what it is when someone maybe from out of state has a case that may have ties to Maine, the Fusion Center is where they're going to reach out. And our officers there will either help them if it's appropriate, or if they need to be referred to another agency or entity in Maine, they'll do that handoff to make sure that whether it's an offender who's out of the state of Maine, or perhaps someone out of state is looking to get hands on somebody who is in Maine, it gives them a starting point and a way to share that information. The training unit, by far, we are the agency that commits the most full-time personnel to the training unit. At the academy, for our selfish motives for the state police, they are in charge of recruitment, training, annual certification for all our members. They have taken on the steps to do more advanced leadership training for our agency. And the special response teams also fall under the training unit. Our tactical team, excuse me, our evidence response team, our canine teams, a crowd management and honor guard. If we look at the canine team, for example, our agency has roughly 24 canine teams between patrol, drug detector, bomb, and cadaver. But we also train dozens of dogs for other agencies and assist them in achieving and maintaining that certification. The other area is we have 2 full-time sergeants that are assigned to the academy that assist with the basic law enforcement training program, the 18-week training program that every agency must go through. We also do the pursuit driving program, firearms and other things for new training. So our training unit is very busy. Thank you. So the crime laboratory, it is a fully accredited crime laboratory, which is no small undertaking. They deal with about 1,000 cases a year, and certainly DNA is a big part of that, and a big part of modern policing. The other part of the DNA program is being able to enter our unknown samples into national databases to see, can we take a case that's unsolved and solve it through the sharing of that DNA collaboration. The computer crimes unit, they support crimes that are committed that involve the use of computers, internet. We all know now the power of information that is on somebody's cell phone. And they investigate child pornography cases in Maine, and really are the clearinghouse for the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children and the internet crimes against children. That is also an area where we were successful in augmenting staffing there during the last session with a mix of civilian analysts and sworn investigators. But we know the volume of tips that come in nationally that show child pornography images being moved and shared online. They know that many of those come through Maine. So our computer crime unit right now really has to triage many of those cases to say, who is the actor? Are they in an official position? Are they a teacher, a coach? Or is this more than just a citizen who has a small collection? Is this someone who is manufacturing child pornography? Is this someone who may be an ongoing hands-on offender? And despite being able to triage, there are still cases that they just are not able to get to. So we know we could probably triple the manpower of that unit and they still would not get to it. So we have started designing a program where we will train up officers from throughout the state, from several other agencies, give them that core skill set to do those cases, assist them with the technology part of it, and the warrant requirements, things like that, and hopefully make it so that this unit is not trying to do all of it on their own. And I look at as a comparison to the reconstruction program. Every officer that comes out of the basic 18-week school in Maine can handle a traffic crash. Beyond that, certain officers receive additional training to become a crash reconstructionist. They are trained by our agency to do that. As they do those reconstruction reports, those reports are sent to our traffic safety unit to be vetted and reviewed and peer reviewed. And so what we look at is that's the type of thing we would like to recreate on the child pornography and computer crimes side of the house, is that there would be many local officers that could bring those basic skills and then those more advanced skills. And then for the most serious cases, only then would it be up to our limited staff, the computer crimes unit, to deal with the most serious cases. So that's the program that we're hoping and in the process of bringing to life. And we've already received, support from other agencies, both local and county, that have raised their hand and said, hey, when you're ready, we have an officer or officers that we want to have part of that program. So we know we can remain the point of contact for these cases coming in and maintain, in many ways, the overall responsibility for them. But we've got to have other people helping to do the work, the important work that unit does. The Executive Protection Unit, again, that have been very busy over the last several weeks. They take care of not only the governor and the first family, but other dignitaries as needed. And they investigate threats against our governor or other members of the legislature. So you've seen them around, I'm sure, just a great consummate group of professionals. Professional licensing. This is a group, again, that you may not understand the state police is involved in. They license professional investigators, security guards, polygraph examiners. The weapons unit oversees Maine's concealed handgun program, where right now you can see there's 41,340 current issued concealed handgun permits under our authority. And they get about 20 a day. If you look at this chart, you'll see that in 2015, that unit had a staff of 7 people. And in 2016, as Maine looked to move away from requiring concealed handgun permits, part of that change was to reduce that staff by 4. And the problem is that at the very last minute, they decided, rather than eliminating the concealed handgun permits in Maine, they made it so that if someone still wants a permit, they can get one. So you can see that the volume overall stayed pretty steady, although the staffing was cut by more than half. And certainly they still make sure they vet people properly. They still understand that, when we authorize that, we want to make sure that we're not handing that privilege over to someone that should not have it. Traffic safety, I won't really touch on that because Lieutenant Scott is on the call, and I'm going to hand off to him. State Bureau of Identification, again, they manage Maine's criminal history records for law enforcement and the public. As in the last several years, legislation has mandated more and more people must be subject to background checks. Those in daycares, people like school bus drivers, people that work at schools. And that has resulted in an increase in demand for criminal record checks. They also manage Maine's sex offender registry.
Hey, Colonel, before you go on, can I just get a time check from, I'm not sure if Senator Diamond's still on the Zoom or not, but how much time did we have, Darlene, or?
Commissioner, Representative Martin here. Senator Diamond is no longer with us. He had another commitment. No, you've got time here. How many other speakers do we have, Commissioner?
We had Lieutenant Scott after the Colonel. This is important information. I just wanted to make sure that we were doing okay.
Take the time you need, and we'll give our committee members an opportunity to ask questions after your presentation.
Thank you very much for that. Sorry about that, Colonel.
No, that's all right. I was trying to keep it as fast as I could. This is one of my, I think, next to last slides. So the Access Integrity Unit is, I think, something that many people don't understand the work that's involved with that unit. Throughout Maine, we have every law enforcement entity in Maine has access to DMV records and criminal history reports, all online. And our agency is responsible for maintaining that infrastructure, the local connectivity, and basically authorizing and auditing the use of the criminal justice information system. Because we face national audits, we need to make sure that the system is being used appropriately, that they are running, if they're seeking a criminal background check, that it's for proper reasons, and that we actually have members that go out into the field and pull files to say, hey, where is the case that's related to you running this background check? They also just are responsible for the overall integrity of users and can suspend users and take other appropriate steps. If, for example, instead of running a criminal investigation or a criminal background check on somebody who's a suspect in a crime, an officer's running a criminal background check on their daughter's new boyfriend, things like that. They're kind of the police for that system. And last, the Records Management Unit, state law enforcement data. Right now, 5 state agencies share the records management system that we use, and along with, I want to believe, over 40 other agencies in the state use a similar record information system so that we can share data. So, and there, finally, I knew I was close to the end, so let me go ahead and take questions.
Are there any questions at all from committee members? Hearing none, Colonel, it was great seeing you again. For those of you that may not know this, the good Colonel started his career in county government in Aroostook County.
Yeah, that was a while back. I remember you as the county administrator there, sir.
I was. Yeah, nice seeing you, John.
Good seeing you, sir. And again, I can look to Lieutenant Scott, who will be the familiar face that you will see constantly. If I can let me stop share, hopefully. All right, that should give the screen back. And he can give you an overview of traffic safety, which really will be many of the topics that are directly impacting your committee. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's always tough to follow the Colonel and Director Stewart and the Commissioner, but I'm going to do my best. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Bruce Scott, and I'm a Troop Commander of the Traffic Safety Unit for the Maine State Police. I'm not sure if you're seeing my screen. I tried to share it here on the side. I get a nod if you can see it. No, nothing?
We're seeing your screen.
You are?
I am.
Okay, very good. I had sent out some information earlier for the group, so I won't spend a bunch of time reading through it. I think all of you at least have a copy.
I don't see the screen.
Sorry?
I don't see your screen.
We're not seeing the screen.
Okay, well, let me see what I can do here. Let me get rid of it. I'm going to bring this one up and I'll keep talking. The first thing I want to do is kind of introduce myself personally. I'm almost a 27-year police officer. I've got a little over 22 years with the Maine State Police. And prior to joining the state police, I did a stint as a record operator for a local company. And that's where I kind of started getting my roots into traffic safety. Believe it or not, I got a good idea of what the traffic did when you didn't manage it. When you went out there with a set of lights and you didn't really get the best training and didn't really know what you were doing, it created some significant problems. And I started seeing troopers showing up and seeing the blue lights, and I started to recognize that they had some command presence and some authority that I didn't seem to have with the wrecker lights. And it was immediately drawn into law enforcement. And so I started with the sheriff's department as a reserve deputy, and then moved on to the state police in 1998. Since then, I've had several different jobs, and I've certainly tried my hat in a few areas, but I started on I-95. My first patrol area was patrolling from Augusta to Newport, so about 147 miles. And I learned about investigating, let's say 2,000 crashes, a fairly rough number. After investigating about 2,000 crashes, I started to decide that I needed to do something with that information, and had an affinity and was attracted towards the traffic safety unit. The first promotion that I got was within the motor vehicle inspection unit. I spent 5 years supervising the daily activities of the motor vehicle inspection unit, and then was luckily promoted to be the lieutenant troop commander of the traffic safety unit. So the traffic safety unit's comprised of the air wing, the crash unit, and the inspection unit. And we've also thrown in fleet and supply just for a little flavor. So of the three primary units, the crash unit and the inspection unit, and the of the crash unit, the inspection unit, and I'm still trying to get my screen to work, so I apologize for that, but it's not going to come up. I knew I'd be the one that had technical difficulty if it was anybody. Is it sharing it now? Okay, I'm seeing a thumbs up. Now let's see if we can get the document back up. Is that on there now? Okay.
Yes.
Very good. So of the motor vehicle, the inspection unit, the crash unit, and the air wing unit, we've got 3 people that run those shops for us. The basic statistics that I wanted to share with you on the crash unit is they are responsible for an awful lot. I know the colonel was going to touch on some of that. He had it in his PowerPoint, but essentially you only have 1 sergeant and you've got 2 reconstruction specialists that have to field all the crashes that occur in the state of Maine, all the reconstructions. They have a partnership with multiple agencies, and those agencies all send and share and peer review their reports. The sales of the online crash reports I thought would catch your attention just because it does generate a little bit of revenue. There's some quick stats there for you. For 2020, there were 95 drone flights. There were 22 motor vehicle autopsies. There were 90 EDR downloads, 156 mappings, and 220 reconstructions. Down to the motor vehicle inspection unit, that consists basically of 1 supervisor. There's 8 civilian inspectors, and then there's 2 clerical staff. You can see their primary duties there. There's about 8,600 stations right now. It's 8,312 that are active, so around 8,600 total. There's 2,658 active technicians, just the opposite, active stations, sorry about that, 8,312 techs. The primary responsibility of the motor vehicle inspection unit is really to oversee and regulate an entire industry. That industry relies very heavily on somebody to take care of their licensing, take care of their training, take care of the regulations of the industry. So this shop, so for 2020 had about 313 complaints, and those would be formal complaints. That's where we actually did an investigation and a report was submitted. They'll handle hundreds of phone calls that would be in addition to that. They've inspected over 2,500 school buses. They opened 152 new stations, which was pretty good for a COVID year. You wouldn't think that we would have as much activity, but they did. We've got 1,376 technician tests that were administered. Now, that doesn't mean we had 1,376 new technicians, because trust me, they don't all pass it. Matter of fact, there's probably at least 50% of those that failed. Let's jump into the main State Police Air Wing. The Air Wing is a chief pilot and a pilot. Has 2 of the Cessna 182s. They've got some primary responsibilities that assist us in traffic enforcement, aerial photography, for crash scenes and crime scenes. They do a lot of search and rescue missions when needed, whether it's for lost subjects or wanted subjects. They provide aerial support for our other specialty teams. And their quick look for 2020 was they had flown 112 missions or spent approximately 208 hours in the air. They did 68 speed details. Those are grant funded details through the highway safety. 9 attempt to locate flights, 9 of the pilot proficiencies, 9 maintenance flights, 10 photo flights, and 7 of the administration flights or transports. In fleet and supply, those are animals of themselves. Fleet consists of 1 sergeant, 9 technicians, and an office associate 2 position. There's about 685 vehicles in our fleet, and they are responsible for everything from the procuring and purchasing of the vehicles to maintaining them to equipping them. And supply is just what it sounds like. Very, very basic explanation of supply is we provide all of the equipment for our police officers and their uniforms. I have 1 property inventory specialist that is responsible for taking care of that entire shop. Very, very busy job. He does a lot of research and development for us, takes care of the shipping and receiving and the daily reconciliations. So that was the quick rundown. And rather than belabor anything and tie this up, I will pause and just open it up for any questions that we might have.
I guess you're good. Back to the commissioner. Where do we go from here, Commissioner?
Well, thank you again. So that's the extent of our presentation. Again, we're certainly happy to answer any questions that anybody may have, whether we can do that live now or circle back. So
Now would be a great time. Any questions from committee members? Representative White, I think I see your hand up there.
Yeah, I just I did send a message just to and I know we got one of the presentations via email. Those other ones would be helpful to have as well, if we could get those.
Absolutely, we'd be happy to do that, sir. No problem at all.
Thank you. Very good presentation. So
great. Thank you.
Senator Farren, did you have any questions or comments?
Not really, Representative Martin, but we'll take the opportunity to say, you know, being back on transportation again and what these folks do and the wealth of knowledge. Just for the new committee members, it's an open book, and you learn more about the traffic safety stuff with Lieutenant Scott and everything down through. It's a good group to have in our court, and a great, use them as a resource. The colonel and the commissioner are always open and share information wherever they can. So very nice job, and thank you.
No, I totally agree. When I was commissioner of IF&W, we had an opportunity to coordinate with public safety, Main State Police, and it's a great group of ladies and gentlemen. It really is. Any other comments or questions?
Representative Perry's got his hand up.
Yeah, go ahead, Representative.
Yeah, hello. Yeah, it's great to see everybody back. And Lieutenant Scott, you're absolutely right. I have seen your face in transportation an awful lot, but I think it was your brother's. And it was great to see Major Scott back. I think we spent about 8 years together, or pretty close to it. You handed it off to your brother there right at the end of my last term, but it's good to see you doing well again. So it was great to see you back, and we'll see both of you, I'm sure.
Great. Thank you, Representative. Any other questions or comments? I see none, Darlene.
Does Sam have anything to add? No.
Nope. That's all we had on the agenda for today.
Okay.
Sam's awful quiet this afternoon. All right, folks, if there are no other questions or comments, this will conclude. Just a reminder, our next committee meeting is a public hearing at 1 o'clock on Tuesday. I believe, Darlene, we have 4 LDs, 4 bills. Is that correct?
We do.
All right. So see you at 1 next Tuesday.
Hey,
Have a-
Representative Martin, just, hey, real quick, just one question. Does that, Darlene, does the link, the Zoom link, is it the same one for all of our meetings?
No, because when we do the public hearings, it's a webinar, which will be a little bit different. I mean, you're still going to hit your Zoom icon. You're going to go to my invite and you should be all set. We
All
hope.
right. Gotcha. Thank you.
I make no promises.
So Darlene, you're going to send that to us just before the meeting? Is that how it's going to work?
I'm going to send one out Friday, and then, yes, there's going to be a reminder that comes up automatically. I won't have to do anything an hour before the meetings
Okay.
from now on, for the webinars, for the public hearings.
And folks
Automatically, we'll see.
Automatically, we'll see.
at Public Safety did an excellent presentation. Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Colonel. Folks, have a great weekend and we'll see you next week.
Take care, all.
We'll see you soon. Thank you.
Bye.